Hello, we did it. Here we are. Good morning, everyone. Um, Thank you all for your patience this morning. We had some, I don't know, technology is not my friend this morning. All right, I'm going to go get this link and put it in all of the places. Um, Go ahead and say good morning in the chat. Um, Tell me that you can actually see me. I know that we had the I don't know. It was a lot this morning, guys. From like needing to do a complete restart on my computer just to sort of get anything ready. Oh man, good morning everyone. Hey Mrs. Savage. Hey Gunica. Hi Valerie. Morning Alicia. Hey Marissa. Yeah, it was super weird there for a second because I was ready. Everything was ready, and it just kept spinning and spinning and spinning, like going live soon. And I was like, well, it wasn't. It wasn't going live soon. Hey, Mrs. Garcia. But now we've done it. We're live. We're here together on this lovely Friday morning. And let me tell you, it is really nice outside today. You can tell it's that we're coming up on summer because if you go out sort of like before 9 a.m., it's beautiful. And then after that, it's just very hot. How's everyone else doing this morning? Have we gotten outside yet? Gotten some fresh air? Maybe done a little exercise? Hey, good morning, Cindy. It is not always cold. What in the world? It was up to like 90 degrees like every day. I hate it. It's terrible. Oh, Valerie band solos today. Awesome. Need to walk the dog. That's fair. You wear a hoodie and sweatpants every day? Oofta. Oh, 2 important test projects today. Yep. That's fair. I almost feel like this way, I get that there's still stuff happening going on. But I feel like at least it's not sort of all on one week, like during finals week. I feel like because the world is so weird, sort of everything is, I don't know. Everything's a little bit more spread out. Valerie, is the band solo the one I'm going to? Or am I going to choir later? You let me know. Oh, because it's cold in your house, Miss Garcia. That checks out. Yeah, I'm really excited for all of these like musical solos. I'm ready for these concerts. This is one of the things I've liked best about being at home, right, sheltering in place, is that I can like go see a lot of this stuff without having to like leave my house and change clothes and drive someplace and be out late. It's nice to be able to enjoy and celebrate some of these awesome accomplishments from the comfort of my own home. All right, so let me see. I can tell I'm way off. I'm still like trying to get the links in all the places because that's just how today is going. Um, man. So I'm curious, how many of us have big stuff due today for classes? Is this sort of like a big project test day? Yeah, the not having to like get in your car, not getting caught in traffic, especially when things are in Mountain House. So for those of you who don't know, I don't live in Mountain House. Um, so if stuff is happening in Mountain House, like at the high school at like 7, school's out at 3:30. I don't want to like stay at school that whole time, but then if I have to drive home and drive back, it's like a ton of extra time that I don't always love to spend. So getting to just enjoy from home is awesome. Miss Savage, your proctoring test retakes today. Yep. Ooh, Marissa, your Spanish final is due today. Buena suerte. Right? I think so. Math final due Monday. Yeah. Gunica, which of your classes have stuff due today? I know English because, I've been sending out a lot of reminders, so I am aware that that's coming up. Awesome. Okay. So while y'all are continuing to chat with me here, I figure I'll start. Oh, chemistry, dance, and English. Awesome. That's a good mix. What is your dance final? Okay. I'm going to start our poem today. I know we're still chatting. We'll keep chatting. But this is a short one. It is called Happy the Man by John Dryden. Happy the man and happy he alone, he who can call today his own. He who secure within can say, tomorrow do thy worst, for I have lived today. Be fair or foul or rain or shine, the joys I have possessed, in spite of fate, are mine. Not heaven itself upon the past has power, but what has been, and I have had my hour. I read that one and it's so short and yet so powerful to me. I just love this idea of when you have sort of like lived in these really positive ways, this feeling of like almost defiance of tomorrow. Tomorrow, come at me because I've lived an awesome life today. And I think that's awesome. So the dance final split into 3 parts. Today you're writing a paragraph about a type of dance. Oh, you can do that. That part's easy. You're a paragraph master at this point. And if you're not, then I haven't done my job. What type of dance are you going to write your paragraph about? All right. Oh no. Man, technology is not having it with me today. I just tried to grab my book on my phone for our book talk, and the app just crashed. Oh man, that does not bode well. Rajasthani dance called Kumar. Awesome. Very cool. All right, we're gonna try opening this stinking book again. It's a good one, and you should read it. Okay. So we're gonna read. I'm gonna talk about The Giver. First rule of IT: did you turn it off and on again? First of all, yes, I did. Second of all, at least for this part for the app, it turned itself off. It just decided that it was done. It did not need me. Here we are. Um, but yes, like right before I was just starting to like get everything ready for this morning. Um, get my YouTube open, get my Twitter open to post the link and all that good stuff. And my computer wasn't having it. So yes, I did have to restart this morning. So here we are. All right. So we're going to be talking about The Giver by Lois Lowry. So The Giver is about a 12-year-old boy named Jonas. And he lives in a utopia or a seeming utopia. And their world is perfect and wonderful, but there's no color. Um, Everyone in the world sort of has this sense of conformity. They all kind of do the same thing. They have very specific roles that they fill, but everyone seems very content. But when children reach the age of 12, they're given sort of like their life assignment. So they sort of practice jobs up until the age of 12, and at 12, they're given their assignment, the job that they're going to do for the rest of their life. And at age 12, Jonas is given the assignment of the receiver of memory. And there's only one of these in their whole society. So he starts like apprenticing with the current receiver of memory, and he starts understanding some complexities, some of the ways that maybe his world is not as much of a utopia as it would seem on the surface. So The Giver is a book that a lot of students read like in middle school. It sounds like it's one that a lot of classes read together in like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. But if you're like me, you haven't read it yet. I didn't read The Giver until I was like in college, and it still totally holds up. It is a super interesting book because it's a dystopia that really manages to work through some pretty adult topics surrounding like life and death, like what makes a good life, and what's the is it better to understand or to be like in blissful ignorance? And it's just a really solid book. So I totally recommend it. I'll go ahead and read a little bit of the beginning if my book will load. Man, I might just have to like restart my whole life today. I'm just saying. Nothing wants to cooperate. Oh, Miss Savage, you read it in 5th. Yeah, so I'm reading a dystopia right now. I'm reading The Maze Runner, which I know is another one that people have been recommending to me for years. So I'm excited to read it. And in some ways, it is really similar to me. This feeling of like, again, I'm not very far into The Maze Runner, but a lot of it is about memory and what we remember and what we don't. And sort of like these gut feelings about what is right and what is wrong. And a lot of that also comes out in The Giver. It's a super popular book. Lots of people who read it will call it like that is their favorite book or a book that really got them into reading. It's awesome. So let me read a little bit of the beginning. It was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened. No, wrong word, Jonas thought. Frightened meant that deep, sickening feeling of something terrible about to happen. Frightened was the way he had felt a year ago when an unidentified aircraft had overflown the community twice. He had seen it both times. Squinting toward the sky, he had seen the sleek jet, almost a blur at its high speed, go past. and a second later heard the blast of sound that followed. Then one more time, a moment later, from the opposite direction, the same plane. At first, he had been only fascinated. He had never seen aircraft so close, for it was against the rules for pilots to fly over the community. Occasionally, when supplies were delivered by cargo planes to the landing field across the river, the children rode their bicycles to the riverbank and watched, intrigued, the unloading and then the takeoff directed to the west, always away from the community. But the aircraft a year ago had been different. It was not a squat, fat bellied cargo plane, but a needle nosed, single pilot jet. Jonas, looking around anxiously, had seen others, adults as well as children, stop what they were doing and wait, confused for an explanation of the frightening event. Then all of the citizens had been ordered to go to the nearest building and stay there. Immediately, the rasping voice through the speakers had said, "Leave your bicycles where they are." Instantly, obediently, Jonas had dropped his bike on the path behind his family's dwelling. They had run indoors and stayed there, alone. His parents were both at work, and his little sister Lily was at the child care center where she spent her after school hours. Looking through the front window, he had seen no people. None of the busy afternoon crew of street cleaners, landscape workers, and food delivery people who usually populated the community at that time of day. He saw only the abandoned bikes here and there on their sides. An upturned wheel on one was still revolving slowly. He had been frightened then. The sense of his own community, silent, waiting, had made his stomach churn. He had trembled. But it had been nothing. Within minutes, the speakers had crackled again, and the voice, reassuring now and less urgent, had explained that a pilot in training had misread his navigational instructions and made a wrong turn. Desperately, the pilot had been trying to make his way back before his error was noticed. "Needless to say, he will be released," the voice had said, followed by silence. There was an ironic tone to that final message, as if the speaker found it amusing. And Jonas had smiled a little, though he knew what a grim statement it had been. For a contributing citizen to be released from the community was a final decision, a terrible punishment, an overwhelming statement of failure. Even the children were scolded if they used that term lightly at play, jeering at a teammate who missed a catch or stumbled in a race. Jonas had done it once, had shouted at his best friend, "That's it, Asher, you're released," when Asher's clumsy error had lost a match for his team. He had been taken aside for a brief and serious talk by the coach, had hung his head with guilt and embarrassment, and apologized to Asher after the game. Now, thinking of the feeling of fear as he pedaled home along the river path, he remembered that moment of palpable, stomach-sinking terror when the aircraft had streaked above. It was not what he was feeling now, with December approaching. He searched for the right word to describe his own feeling. Jonas was careful about language. Not like his friend Asher, who talked too fast and mixed things up, scrambling words and phrases until they were barely recognizable and often very funny. Jonas grinned, remembering the morning that Asher had dashed into the classroom, late as usual, arriving breathlessly in the middle of the chanting of the morning anthem. When the class took their seats at the conclusion with the patriotic hymn, Asher remained standing to make his public apology as was required. "I apologize for inconveniencing my learning community." Asher ran through the standard apology phrase rapidly, still catching his breath. The instructor in class waited patiently for his explanation. The students had all been grinning because they had listened to Asher's explanation so many times before. Oh man, I realize I've just gone through a bunch of this. I better stop. So it's a fun book. I love this beginning where it's sort of just like talking through the community, and we get these little bits and pieces of information that all sort of seem normal, but like that feeling of almost an ominous feeling approaching is really intense. He's not frightened but he feels something like frightened. There's this airplane going over. There's this talk of being released, which is an interesting phrasing, and we learn more and more about that throughout the book. Um, so yeah, it's a great book, and it's again an easy read. Um, so if you, especially if you like dystopian books, this is a great dystopian book. And again, it's totally readable. It's pretty quick in terms of a reading experience. So I totally recommend it if you're looking for a dystopian book. All right. What else do we got? We got a couple more minutes. Um, Anything exciting for us today? Seniors, it's senior decision day. So I think you're posting on social media like what you're doing next year, what your plans are. And I think we'd all love to hear about that. I'm excited to hear what everyone is doing or where everyone's going. So the book is The Giver by Lois Lowry. Bye, Mrs. Savage. I'll put it in the chat. The Giver by Lois Lowry. Yeah, it's a super famous one. But like I said, I had certainly heard about it for a long time, but I hadn't read it until college. Maybe after college? I don't remember. It was yeah, I certainly didn't read it, at its target audience age, and still think it's a great book. So, that says something, I think. Awesome. Alright, so I think we'll head out to Miss Garcia, you've never read it either? Okay. So I felt like a crazy person for making it to whatever it was, 20, 21, 22, before I read The Giver. Um, but it was, like, genuinely good. And I know for a while, Miss Garcia, you were trying to make it through, like, I don't remember if it was a book a week or a book a day. Um, but it's totally a 1 week read for sure. Um, yeah. Ooh, Marissa, you're gonna post your college decision later on Twitter. Awesome. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out. It's gonna be a bit of a busy day for me, so I'm hoping to be able to keep everything in line and on track. Um, Especially because I'm genuinely really excited to hear about people's plans for next year. That's one of my favorite things to hear about. I love getting the chance to, um, especially Marissa, people like you who have given me your senior picture. I always write it on the back so that I get to remember um, what you've all done. So I'll have to keep all of these ones in mind so that when I get back to my classroom, I can note them all down. Man, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm already on second cup of coffee and I'm feeling the jitters. It's probably too early for a second cup. There it is. Oh man, I don't remember what time the school is open today for returns. I could look it up. I have the power. I have technology. I sort of have technology. Um, let me see. Oh, everyone is saying 10 to 1. And that sounds right. I'm double checking for Mr. Panu. Yeah, drop off hours are from 10 to 1. So if you have something, they're going to do it as like a no contact or minimum contact where you're not even going to get out of your car. Somebody's going to just come grab it from you. So that'll be great. It's an exciting time. All right. All right. Well, it is 8:30, so we will wrap it up for today. I hope you all have an awesome Friday. I hope you make great choices over the weekend. Um, And I hope to see all of you later in class today. And if not, back here again on Monday for another great day of hanging out and chatting and books and poems and all that good stuff. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Always remember who you are, what you represent, and to show your Mustang pride. Bye.